Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey. I want to say welcome, everybody. Welcome, and thanks for joining the Juice. Thanks to the panelists this morning, and thanks to Aris, who's taking over the technology portion of the program. Murphy is on vacation in Hawaii, so let's all be jealous.
Lucky here.
Exactly. Before I introduce everybody, I would like to just kind of have a little Start Garden announcement. We are working on a project, and we're asking all of the entrepreneurs that we've worked with, whether it's through 5x5 Night, the Start Garden 100, or members of the space, to record for us a 30-second video of what Start Garden has meant to you. What we worked with you on, or just a little bit of how our paths have intersected and what that's meant. And we're compiling these videos, and we're going to do something fun with it. So we'd love to hear that from you. And that's not just the panelists. I'm talking to everybody that's listening. We are having a push on social media, so you can find out about that there. But what you can do is you can upload a 30-second video, and you can message it to us through Facebook, or you can send it to, let's see, it's thankyou@startgarden.com. So there's a special place that you can send it if you want to just email it to there. Oh, hi, Taylor. So
You can see the bar below.
I'm sorry, what?
You'll see the email address on the scrolling bar below.
Okay, perfect. That's great. So, all right, thanks for the little public service announcement. And now we'll get on with our panel this morning. I have been bringing back some of the panels that we started with way back in March and April. And the idea is to revisit with all of you guys and to really kind of talk about what the last 8 months have been like. It's been a roller coaster for everybody. And so I think it's really interesting to hear how people have navigated through that and what what's going on right now. So wait, is Aris, are you? Oh, okay. I can see Aris. Is something going on? Okay. Anyway. So this morning we have Christina VanDam with Zeal Aerial Fitness. We have Chris Marsman with Garden Geeks Urban Farm, and we have Stephen and Taylor Smith from Muse GR. And what I'd love to do is have kind of each one of you give us a little bit of a scenario of what's been going on for the last 8 months, and let us know what things have been like for you guys. I know, like I said, it's been a real up and down kind of situation. So why don't we start out with Christina? Welcome.
Hi, thanks. So yeah, like you said, Laurie, it's been a huge roller coaster. Personally for us, we've welcomed a baby into the world in these past 8 months. And then on top of that, there's just been so much, can we open, can we not open? Okay, we're open. Oh, now we have to close, back and forth because we're an aerial fitness studio. So I've talked to numerous lawyers about, do we fall under the category of gym, or do we fall under the category of entertainment? So yeah, it's been kind of all over the place for us. It's like been a day by day thing for sure, of trying to figure out, okay, can we be open? What safety precautions do we need to take? I feel like I've learned a whole bunch of cleaning lingo that I never learned before. So yeah, it's like you said, a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and especially like for you in this past week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Exactly.
actually taking this 3-week pause as a 3-week pause for our studio too. My teachers, most of them have outside jobs as well. Some of them have kids, and now they're trying to figure out how they're going to be schooling their kids from home. So we're just taking a pause for 3 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably a good plan. Yep. Chris, how about you? What's going on?
Things are going pretty well. We're starting to pick back up. Originally, when we talked, things were really going well. Unlike other microgreens farms in the country, I had decided to go towards the grocery stores to distribute my product, where a lot of people were in restaurants. So when the shutdowns hit, microgreens operations were closing everywhere. So things were going good until everybody started buying up all the seeds around the country for victory gardens and different things like that. So I ran into quite a few issues trying to obtain the seeds that I needed, and then new policies for the seed companies, packaging and how many employees they could have, and it pushed our fulfillment times just to get seeds back like a month sometimes. So it made things pretty challenging, and then they ended up running out of seeds. So farmers that harvest seeds finally are just coming into their harvest. Some seeds became so expensive it wasn't even worth growing varieties. So yeah, things have been interesting, but we have been able to expand into other stores and kind of get creative with different mixes with the seeds that we do have. So we're hanging in there right now, hoping this lockdown doesn't cause more problems again with the seeds now that they're becoming available for us.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, your demand is still there. It's just your ability. Yeah, your ability to supply.
And with the lockdowns, like a lot of people don't know necessarily what microgreens are yet. So demos were a huge thing that we were looking forward to, and we started off doing demos, and we were doing really well because we were able to get it in people's hand and tell them about it. And then when the stores shut the demos down, then we didn't have the avenue to educate people on it. So that really slowed us down quite a bit.
Right.
And I just did my first demo, and then they locked down again.
Oh, wow.
So we're kind of going backwards again, but it's I've been running a lot of sales, like 2 for $5s for like the last, because it's usually $3.99 a package, or $2.99 a package. So we're just running sales to try to get it out there and get it in people's hands and let them try it without having to spend too much money. And we're seeing a lot of repeat buy that way. So anything we can do to get it out there to them. Did
you do anything with farmers markets or anything this year? No, you're just strictly retail, grocery stores, and okay.
Yeah, I went that route. Just strictly with the program I am going to put into places. And maybe this is going to get into what you're going to touch on here soon. Is my network of people around the country. When people got really scared, they were like, "I'm going to lose my whole business." Some of them started going straight microgreens, like salad share programs. They call it, like a CSA. So that's something that we're looking at launching now, because it's fewer people touching the product, so people aren't as scared about getting products, because people were getting really scared to buy products at the store because so many people in the back room were touching them and they didn't know how clean they were being. So they wanted to get it directly from you too. So
interesting.
There's a lot of options, but yeah, I stayed right with the grocery stores, and do good with Bridge Street's really good about getting the word out about it, and another Meyer market down in Lansing, Capital City Market, and Kingmas does really good, and Horrocks and stuff. So they've at least been some busy stores that have been able to keep us afloat and moving forward until the seeds came back in. I had like 8 main varieties, and 3 or 4 of them became difficult to get. Wow. So it made things pretty challenging.
Yeah. Well, and we can come back to you too, but I think you mentioned that you were supplying restaurants, and are you still doing that?
No, not the restaurants now. They have to. It's one of the biggest things is, they don't buy as much, so my prices go up with those guys, and the quality and stuff is even higher, and a lot of the ones they want take longer to grow. So when they cut their costs, to try to help their employees or anything like that, it's like one of the first things to go. I've made a lot of connections with them, and it's a lot of, as soon as this is over, let's do it.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at with that situation right now. And there's a lot of things we're looking forward, like wedding, venues, like you can do neat little things that go on the table, and people can cut their own. There's so many things we were looking forward to doing that we just never got there to do. So we've just stuck to the grocery store route right now.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So Stephen and Taylor, good morning.
Good morning. We've been doing pretty good. A lot of pivoting.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we have been doing was we made a little adjustment with our building. So we opened our Airbnb, and that's been really fun, really successful. We did we call it an Art B&B. at the Muse Art House. So it's like the guest gets to come and stay, and we leave out like drawing materials and a canvas with a bunch of paint, and they get a chance to be creative in a creative space. And we've had a lot of guests already.
Yeah.
We made super host status.
Oh, that's nice. Good for you.
That was a good stream as everything was closed.
Yeah.
To still have money coming in.
Yep.
So it was necessary. It was needed. So that's good. But I would say one of the big things was being able to focus on one of our original initiatives, and that's like working with the youth. So we did a initiative based on the gun violence that was happening in the city. So we put 7 youth through an artist development camp, and we've had concerts. We've had three concerts, an outdoor, one downtown, and we did Studio Park and we did Rosa Park Circle. So they were really good, successful.
What did that consist of? How did that operate?
So
through the program, they created like an EP. So they had 12 songs that they recorded, and they're all collaborating on each other's songs. And so with that album, they performed those songs at the various events. The first one was like a rooftop kind of showcase with their family, because we didn't think they would be able to do any other kind of performance based on COVID. But then from there, they were asked to be a part of a couple of other events, including performing at Rosa Park Circle and then Studio Park. And then we allowed the kids to have like an art exhibition to release the album. So their album release party, I guess you could say, we had an artist create a piece for each song. So we gave him the album and we told him to listen to it and create based on what he heard.
Oh my gosh.
So he created a piece for each song, and then when people came into the gallery, they used their phone to scan a QR code and listen to the song as they looked at what he created.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
it was a way that we could try to like let people kind of social distance, because they're interacting with the art individually bring their own headphones, and then they got a chance to meet each of the youth artists, and yeah, it was actually really exciting.
Yeah, and it was fun because we received some help from Star Garden, and it's like we were able to put we built these walls. We had these walls built for social distancing that made it easy for people to maneuver through the space, like because it was like there was a concept behind the album. It was like some kids found a time capsule. In the time capsule was this album, and then it pushes you through like the kids' journey of 2020. So
Oh wow.
the backstory was it was like 2099, and then some kids, like 7 kids, found this, and it's showing everything. So their album is showing all the things that was occurring at this time.
Oh my God.
This crazy year is like marked in music, and you go through the space and you hear each song one by one, and it was just a fully immersive auditory experience.
Oh, I love that.
And 8 out of the 12 sold the first opening night.
Oh my gosh. So do you think this is something that you'll continue to do? Because it sounds amazing.
This is something that I want artists to do, like music artists to do as a new norm, like in our space. Like that's something we offer is what would it be called, a EP release or album release, a multi-sensory album release.
So I mean the idea is you're connecting and collaborating like the music artists with the physical artist.
Visual artist, yep.
Yeah, visual artist, yeah.
It could be dance, it could be sculpture, it could be whatever.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Now, interestingly enough, is this something that you had was this something you were thinking about doing prior to COVID, or was this a pivot and a sort of an evolution because of what was happening?
So it was.
He had came up with the idea, but he was going to do it to release his own album. Steve has like a whole album that's been in the works. A lot of people don't know Steve has like released a couple of albums when he was in college. So we have like actual like CDs and posters from his group when they were in college, and they have like a whole thing. So he had partnered with one of his friends from college, and they had been working on this album and kind of came up with an idea to try to release it.
So it was during COVID though.
Yeah, but I was like, I think that this would work really good for our youth. I think this would work better for that, if you don't mind giving up the idea for them. So I think it went out. It went really, really well. I'm glad.
It was amazing. I didn't want to give it up.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
no.
He was thinking of creating art himself and connect him visually creating art to go with the music, but it was great that we were able to connect with another artist.
Yeah.
And now I want to just give it away to all artists.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So, each of you is in such a different space when it comes to your businesses, but I think, the common theme is that, everybody sort of had to assess what was happening that was completely out of your control, and then figure out how to keep going, figure out, what worked and what didn't work. And I think one of the interesting things that I've heard in talking to so many different entrepreneurs and so many different business owners is how, the ability to be resilient, it's hard because it means that you're having to operate in a situation that, like I said, is not within your control, but you kind of have to figure things out. And I think that's true of entrepreneurs in general. You can't always control the way things are going to go. And so just any entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur during the time of COVID, really has to be able to be a little bit resilient and listen to what's going on in the world around them and I guess react or be proactive. I think what I find interesting is how people have used their networks and their relationships with different kinds of people. It could be, how has your family helped you through this time? How have your customers helped you through this time? Your suppliers, like in the case of Chris. And so the strength of those relationships, I think, is important because it can help now. But it's really something that should be built upon all the time. So I'd be curious to hear from each one of you about, how maybe we could start out with customers. Like, how has your customer network and your customers' behaviors, how has that impacted what you have been able to do? Anybody can talk. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So when we first shut down in the spring, I made an effort to call each one of our customers. So we have a membership-based system. So I called each one of our members and then also people who had our punch pass, just first off to see how they were doing, and then second off to see what their comfortability level was, if they would even want to come back into this space and what it would take for them to come back into this space. And I was actually really surprised that a lot of people were like, oh, we just want to get back in there. They were just so many people, I think in the first shutdown, were so isolated because everything happened so quickly and so unexpectedly, where now I feel like people are a little bit more prepared for it. So I felt like our customers really helped to drive us where we were going this summer. And then now, even in this shutdown, we are taking the pause for 3 weeks, but we know for sure on the 9th, if we're currently under the same restrictions, we're still going to open, but for private, lessen like one-on-one appointments with people. We're still kind of figuring out how that's going to work exactly, because it needs to be cost effective from a business side. But I also know my customers are like, please don't take this away from us again. Like, you know, we need this in our lives. A lot of people have talked about how it's good for their mental health, which obviously fitness, working out is good for mental health. The other thing I will say too is I've been so appreciative of my customers every time that we have told them, you know, you have to wear a mask. We're sanitizing before we touch all the equipment. We have not had any pushback from anyone, which I was kind of surprised about, but also just, I really appreciated it. So I asked someone, I was like, you know, why was this easy for you? And they're like, well, you kept us informed the whole time. Like, you were constantly sending out emails. So I feel like they just kind of helped direct our direction of where we're going to go now for this next shutdown, instead of just being like, oh, we're going to try online classes and we're going to do this and this. We actually know, okay, online classes didn't work for us, and I know that. So now we're going to move into this direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Chris, what about you?
My customers, like, such as the stores, and I guess not directly to the individual buyer, but they've been really great and flexible since I had issues with like seeds. And, you know, a lot of times when you're carrying the varieties, right when you go in and you talk to them, they want to know, well, are you going to be able to keep the shelf stocked? You know, is there going to be empty space on the shelf? They don't want to have that. But they were really great with working with me on what varieties I had, when I could get them in, and very communicative on that, and making sure that they didn't say, okay, well, you don't have every variety right now, we're going to cut you out. Let us know when you do. And they have been really flexible still when I can deliver, and, you know, allowing me to come in. They've given me quite a bit of flexibility to just come in and check the shelves and stock as I need to stock it, without getting order requests from them. So they've been super flexible. We've had great communication and great relationship. And even one of my really close contacts at Bridge Street has helped me get into the capital city market, and he's made a national contact for me with Fresh Time. We're looking at you know, national business there. When I can have the seeds and everything to supply. Right. And he's also helping me with possible some regional stuff with the super centers at Myers. So he's kind of, and I didn't know anything about the market when I started in produce and everything like that. So he's really mentored me quite a bit too, and told me, you know, kind of helped me weave my way through everything, and not understanding like what I can do, what my other options are with stores, how I can sell things, or, you know, how I can negotiate contracts and stuff like that. So my customers I've developed really good relationships and friendships, you know, with them, so that we can see that the local suppliers are going to succeed and not go under, when the big ones can still hammer some stuff through, except for toilet paper, obviously. But, you know, everything. No, they've been really great and helping me out, and coaching me through things, and being flexible with everything. So
that's great.
Awesome. Yeah.
What about you guys, Stephen, Taylor?
I really appreciate just our customers letting us know our value to the community. A lot of times on social media, they send us messages, and it's really empowering to know that we're impacting, or they feel like we're impacting the city and the community. It was a time that we did a fundraiser, and it was almost uncomfortable for us to see so much support. When it's like people our age giving, and it's just like, it just blows you away. And it's like, one of our mentors was like, well, you guys sold so many seeds into the community. Don't be surprised when you see like it coming back. Yeah. And it just keeps you going. Yeah. It keeps you going.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I'm driving at here with regard to relationships, and it is not just in a time like this when when things are all turned upside down, but as you grow a business, it is those relationships with your customers and everybody else that keeps you going, and that can help you make decisions and make pivots. I'm curious to know, as a result of some of the things that you've done differently now, Stephen, you touched on a little bit because I asked you about whether you're going to continue with the art and music collaboration, but moving whenever we move beyond COVID, and I have to believe we will at some point, have some of the changes or things that you've thought about and the things that you've kind of, innovated on, are they going to change how you do business permanently, or do you expect to go back to normal? I mean, what are you thinking coming out of this? How has it changed your way of thinking about your business?
We've thought about, because Airbnb has been so helpful and successful with our upstairs space, we've thought about using Airbnb to rent the downstairs space, because the app helps you to just kind of streamline the communication and the process. It kind of takes you out of the middle a little bit. I think that one of the things that we struggle with is like
events, the big events.
The big events, and like
I think we're gonna cancel those. Like pretty much. Like
Yeah.
people will be able to, like, as she's like, because she's speaking to one aspect of like Muse, like event rentals. And like event rentals was our biggest line item in terms of money, like bringing in money. But it's the least amount of what we enjoy, and it's the least, like it's not the reason we started the business. Like we started the business for people, just like Aerial Fitness and Garden Geeks is like for people. So just someone having a party or something, like we don't, before COVID we have been trying to figure out how we can stop that. So this kind of helped us, but then as far as Airbnb taking over the like the management of people booking the space for events, we can, like they have that, like there's 16 people maximum and stuff like that. So it's like it'll be small stuff that doesn't put a wear and tear on our space.
Yeah. Some of the we've also adjusted like our times to accommodate the guests upstairs, where we can't have any events past 10 o'clock. So it just kind of eliminates some of the, I guess, parties that people were trying to have at Muse. And yeah, we were finding that we were having to like repaint the space and redo things, just because like high volumes of people add lots of wear and tear, and we like the smaller groups. So finding ways to continue with the smaller side of things.
Interesting. That's great. Christina, what about you?
I don't know, in all honesty. So I think the biggest thing to us, like for me, that I've realized is that like we never questioned our customers like being sanitary or not, because they're adults. So when people came into the studio, I mean, we never before asked them to wash their hands or sanitize or anything. So I do think we'll definitely keep that. We have noticed less wear and tear on our like poles and on our fabrics and stuff, just like the metals and everything, because people are just being cleaner and washing their hands more, which is odd to say. Not saying people weren't clean before, but just it's different now. We are looking into doing sort of like a rental system for our equipment as well, so that people don't share. So they come into the studio, you have your little bin, and that is your equipment that you get to use. I don't know. I have to still compare costs. It's just something I recently have found out about through like an Aerial Facebook group that I'm a part of. But yeah, it's definitely be interesting because it's not something that people can just do at their house. And in the summer, we did have some people who were doing things outside, which is great, but it's also kind of hard to, we're such an experience-based type of fitness studio that trying to figure out, okay, like with Muse, what they did with their space and creating the Airbnb, how can we kind of pivot to are we going to let people come into our space to rent out? We've had rentals for bachelorette parties, but there's always a teacher there. So then do we allow other groups to come in and rent our space when we don't have a staff member there at all? So we've been tossing around some ideas. So, yeah.
Yep. And Chris?
Well, as I've mentioned a few times, the seeds have been one of my biggest frustrations. And what I've been tossing around and talking with people is some of the seed suppliers is starting like Garden Geek Seed Company. So I would supply my own seeds so I could always have a massive amount of seeds there for me. Something happens. Now I have my fallback right there. Plus it will drastically drop the cost for me growing alone as well. And I have like 2 seed companies that really like, and you have to be careful where you get them. Some don't germinate well. And one's in Michigan and they're super low. And then another one in the country that I use is quite a bit higher. They're almost double the price. But I've spent a lot of time talking to the other one in Michigan about acquiring seeds through them and then kind of being like a middle ground in between the two and offering a price right in the middle. And I think that will help me make sure that, in the future, if I have any seed issues, that boom, I have them right there on site for me. And then I also found out that the EBT double up bucks that they have here in Michigan, you can buy seeds and it qualifies under the double up bucks if you grow your own food. So I'm trying to figure out how I can sell that and a starter kit that I'm creating through Amazon and do, the seed supply. And so I kind of have some of my major inventory stuff right at my own hands, plus turn it into another revenue stream as well.
Oh, that's great. And I'm assuming that these are maybe things you thought about before, but it clearly through this whole experience has pushed you further along in this direction.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. And I plan on doing that as soon as I take care of some of those regional kind of expansion things, because I need to get the grow going a little bit further, and then I'll make the time for the seed side of things. Yeah. So there's a lot more regulations, I guess you have to follow right there. So I want to make sure I'm prepared for that. But it's definitely something that's in the works and negotiations. I've made had some good meetings with the people in Michigan on talking about that. So it's definitely something I want to pursue, and I think it would go really well. In the other stores like King Muz and stuff that sell seeds during the spring and stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of good opportunity there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Thanks.
I'd love to talk a little bit about like your peer network. So other entrepreneurs, how have you guys leaned on other entrepreneurs at this time to kind of maybe brainstorm or just kind of commiserate or whatever?
Yeah, so I have a network of microgreen growers, some like Georgia and Texas and Canada and even over in Europe. And we chat all the time about how things are going, what the changes are. People were freaking out because a lot of people had 95% of their business in restaurants. So they just went crazy. They're just falling apart. It was like the Great Depression for them. Like they didn't know what to do. And that's when that salad share program thing came about, and people in Washington, DC and up in Canada launched it. And right away for 8 weeks, charging $200 in per person, and they're getting 200 to 300 people right off the bat in their first launch. And so boom, that money came in and it allowed them to stay in business. They're doing things where they're working with local companies to make salad dressings. And so they'll offer a salad dressing at like week 4. And so I'm looking at that. And then I talked with one of the owners of the Root Pharmacy, Jen. And so they're looking at doing a salad dressing, with me. And they already put my greens in a lot of their stuff too. So different things, talking with people like that, because my greens can help, with the things like, they use root type stuff to heal people, and they have their cafe coming out. So it's like, it's just seeing what other avenues you can get in and how you can use it other than just the grocery store there too, and working with those people that have other creative ways. And, meeting with them, we talk on the phone, we shoot messages back and forth, and they shoot me ideas. like that too.
Yeah, and I mean, collaborations like that with business, are always really interesting to see how
Yeah.
they kind of, organically grow out of different situations. Oh, that was a pun, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also interested too in hearing your thoughts about how just being able to personally, talk with other business owners and people who, are going through all of this uncertainty. How has that helped you to kind of persevere and, just know that you're not in this by yourself? I mean, I think that's the thing that's so, I don't know, I don't even know if I have a word to describe it. I mean, all of us are going through this time that is out of our control. It's one thing if you're a business owner and your business is struggling because of, maybe something you did or the customer, something happened like that. This is totally out of anybody's control. And it's happening to every business sector. So how has being able to, know that you're not alone and share that with other people, how has that impacted your ability to, be positive and to keep going?
Are you at me?
I think.
No, you can go. You're good.
Yeah. I'd say I think that it's really just pushed everyone to think about their business a little bit differently. Again, like I said, I know that my business is so experience based, and I've had to try to think about, okay, if someone physically can't be in my space, what can we do? And just to be able to bounce ideas off of other people, to be able to say like, oh yeah, that could maybe be a good idea, or that doesn't sound so realistic. And also just really talking about the time it takes to pivot your business. I think that's huge. A lot of fitness places went online, but what people don't realize is that when you think about everything you need to make a good video behind the scenes, you need to have a great microphone system. You need to make sure you have proper licensing for your music. You need to make sure that you have good insurance so that when people are watching your videos and someone gets hurt, they can't sue you. Like all of these different behind the scenes things, and to be able to talk about, okay, I didn't even think I would need XYZ if I'm going to do a video online or whatever. It's just been nice to have those people to kind of process that through with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just good to have the support. Like when sometimes you just don't want to work on your business that day. And it's just having like the ability to have a conversation with somebody that feels the same way. It's like, okay, all right, I'm not tripping. And then the next day we're like, all right, what you gonna do today? And then, you look at your task list and you're like, all right, I'm gonna knock this out, and then we have friends that hold us accountable to like the things that we say we're gonna do. Mm-hmm. And so that's always a good benefit.
Yeah. I mean, in talking to other business owners, whether they're in your specific industry or not, what is your sense of how do people feel right now? I know it's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, is it hard for you guys to look past this and feel like we're going to come out the other side? Or is it just at a point, I know that, everybody goes through and has days where you just feel like I'm just done. I can't deal with this anymore, whether it's just the business or just handling all the personal stuff that comes with it. I mean, I've talked to so many people who are just struggling working at home, and or then, they've got their kids at home, and, it's just this world that we're just so not used to living in. Go ahead.
It literally hurts. Like, it's like when you see, like, how it's closing, open, like, and then you see a business close down. Mm-hmm. Like, that didn't make it, like, past this next.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't make it over this hurdle. And it's like, man, that could have been me, or it could have been us. Or it's like, to know that each hurdle is, like, ticking against you, like, will I make it past this next one? Like if you think about, some businesses won't open back up on the 8th.
Right.
And it's like to come to grips with that change that's actually happening. Like, because a lot of times, like in March, you didn't want to believe that it was going to change that much.
Mm-hmm.
And it really already has changed. And it's
Yeah.
like, sometimes it's hard to come to grips with it all. But, you know, having a strong circle allows you to be encouraged at times where it's kind of tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, you know, initially, you know, probably when we talked back in March, you know, we were thinking, oh, you know, the summer's going to come and things are going to be, you know, things will be a lot better. Things will open up. And then, you know, we started realizing, this isn't really going away. So now we're going to come back into a time where, you know, it's going to be colder and we might be facing shutdowns. And in the case of, you know, in the case of our state of Michigan, you know, we're having it worse than we did back in the spring. You know, it was all focused on New York and Detroit and, you know, certain pockets of bigger cities, but now we're experiencing it here. And so, you know, it's kind of like we were lifted up and then you know, we're falling back down again. And so I think it's hard mentally to think about, you know, what does it look like, you know, after the first of the year. Probably, you know, not a big difference if the weather's still bad. But I mean, there is, you know, not to be completely negative, but you're right, Stephen. You know, we're going to look around and there are going to be a lot of businesses that aren't going to be here anymore. And it's, again, not for any fault of their own. It's just, you know, it just was not able to, you know, sustain the uncertainty for that long. And so that is hard to deal with. So, you know, I guess, you know, at Start Garden, obviously one of the things that you know, we are there to support the mission of entrepreneurship, to support startups, to support, you know, businesses. How do we encourage people right now to you know, think about their, you know, we're always telling people, you know, give us your big idea, you know, enter 5x5 night and tell us what you want to do. And right now it's like, how do we encourage people to keep doing that and to keep thinking that way? That entrepreneurship is worth doing.
I would say I think that a lot of people's priorities are shifting during this time. I mean, people are being home so much more often, and like my husband even realized, like, I can totally do my job from home. I don't have to go into the office. And so also realizing then, like, oh, I don't need to work from 9 to 5 every day, because I can get my work done from 9 to 3. So I think like those shifts have been happening. And so people are actually starting to think about, like, if they were miserable at their job, I've known quite a few people who have actually left their jobs because they're like, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth like putting up with this. And who actually have then started to have their own dreams of, I think I want to do this. And I don't think the pandemic is stopping people who are really motivated to want to make that next step. I actually think it's pushed some people to do so. Because again, maybe they got laid off from their job and they're like, oh, well, what am I going to do now? Well, I always wanted to do X, Y, Z, so let's give it a shot.
Well, and I think I do think you're right about that. I think that this time has, you know, made people become very introspective and to realize what's important all around us, you know, family, you know, the way we spend our time. And so maybe it is time for people to shift priorities a little bit and take a chance, and do something that they've always wanted to do. But again, it always has come with a risk, right? You know, being an entrepreneur and kind of being in charge of your own destiny is exciting, but it is risky. So, you know, when right now we're so unsettled, you know, some people will take this as a leap. You know, I'm going to do this now because if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And other people might be a little hesitant in times of uncertainty. So it is kind of an interesting time. But I think you're right that a lot of people are looking at this as, a time to change their priority and go for it. What do you guys think, Chris?
I think sharing the 30-second videos is perfect. Doing something like that so people can hear from the entrepreneurs and hear, what they've done and how they've changed their lives. And, I can't imagine going back to human resources after doing this.
That what you did before this?
Yeah, I was in human resources for 12 years, okay. And I just, I can't imagine going back. I do have more flexibility. I work a lot, but, sometimes I'll take a half an hour in the middle of the day, and I take my 2 10-month-old puppies to the park and we go for a walk, and we take that break during the day, where before, when I had my 2 Boston Terriers, I had 14 years before these guys, they sat home all day, they and then I came home and I was tired, so and I missed being able to have some time just with my boys there, whatever. And this has made it flexible. Thank God for me having 3 kids, with the way things go with school and stuff. And I've actually spent more time with them, being able to help them understand things in class too. Mm-hmm. It has its challenges, but I do like the flexibility. I think sharing that and telling people, there's times where I will work till midnight or later, but it's because I was able to arrange my schedule to do something that I wanted to during the day. And it gave me that flexibility that I never had before. In human resources, I was like, boom, you're going to be right there. You're not moving. And that's where things are. So, I think sharing those experiences and stuff is going to be really helpful and help people. There's a lot of people with great ideas out there and they just don't know what to do with them, or they're scared to take the chance with them. I was, to begin with. I'd been growing microgreens for 2 years before I took the chance. Mm-hmm. So I think sharing all those ideas. And I want to say, I think it's been great too to see the positivity of even the restaurants. I was like, man, I feel so bad for these restaurants when that announcement came. And I remember the first time people were like, what are we going to do? We're going to end up closing. My employees can't eat, or, I'm going to lay them off. And I've seen so many that are like, if you need something, or you're out of work and you can't provide, you're a single mom with kids and you can't put food on the table, just message me and we'll take care of you. So they're taking, like, you're not seeing, like, it's a much more positive twist on things. Coming even from the restaurants. They know they're going to get hit hard, but they're stepping up to help out people that are also being hurt by not having work or not being able to put food on the table. And I was even nervous because I always said that I had issues with seeds. So for me, I have to grow. I have to kind of speculate how much I have to grow. So I'm growing a lot, and now it might cut back, and then I throw a bunch away. So now I'm like, where can I donate it? And so now I see all these restaurants saying, hey, we're going to do Thanksgiving meals. And I'm like, hey, I'll give you tons for salads and, things like that. And it makes you feel good that it's, you can find positive twists on things. And when things are kind of on the downslope, with the changes.
Yeah. Yep. Stephen and Taylor, what do you think?
I think that people can also, like Christina was saying, take advantage of the time in a positive way. I would say, like, taking time management courses and things like that to make the best out of your day, or just taking advantage of the extra time. Like, before the pandemic, I was talking about, hey, I needed this schooling, and it's like, oh, how will we find the time? But now it's like, oh, I could find the time to maybe knock out a course or two, or if there's a skill I want to brush up on, take a course on that and just develop. Like, use the extra time to develop or to rest and be with family. And mm-hmm. I know that's not all businessy, but I think, a work-life balance is one of the most important things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, as a society, I think we've really realized that. And I've said this before on other programs, and I've talked about this a lot, that I even see it with myself, in that we're in this situation now where people are forced to, be working from home, but they're realizing that, hey, that's not such a bad thing. I can actually accomplish things. And then I can have a little bit more time for me. I have a little bit more balance in my life. And so, maybe one of the bigger things to come out of this is the fact that I think it's okay now to want that balance. I mean, I think we've always all wanted that balance, but life was going so fast, and we were all on this treadmill to get ahead and to succeed. And we almost in a way were afraid to say, "Hey, I just want to take some time for myself and for my family." And now, I think we've been given permission to say that and to do that, and it's okay now to strive for that balance and to bring all of us into what we do, and so you're able to to maybe choose to do things that you're passionate about, that fulfill you, not just monetarily, but that you really feel strongly about. I mean, I'm sure all of you, you work hours and hours and hours on your business, and yes, sometimes you get tired, but you're doing what you want to do. You're doing something that you created. So it is, I think it's fulfilling in a lot of ways. So I don't know. Would you guys? I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, I've always said work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's been my motto.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to. So I'm encouraged. Like, we have our 5x5 night next week, and we're still seeing like a lot of great ideas come through the pipeline, and to me that's extremely encouraging. And so I think entrepreneurship will go through ups and downs as a result of right now, but I think it's we're going to come out stronger in the end. And helping to support all of our small businesses and startups is really, what we all are trying to do right now. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong, I guess, with ordering things on Amazon. It's convenient, but it's really nice to, even go into my little town that I live in and see that there's actually a couple of new stores that have opened up. So, even during times like this, things can thrive and can succeed and get started. So we've got a couple more minutes, and I'm assuming, Aris, we don't have any questions?
We do not have any questions, just a couple
Okay.
comments from Brandon.
Okay.
I appreciate very nice words.
No.
But no questions. No.
So what I would love to do is have a couple minutes for each one of you to maybe tell us what, to the best of your ability to project, what does the next 8 months look like for you? And let's frame it up this way. We're assuming we're gonna come out the end of the tunnel here. What does that look like for you? What does the next trajectory look like for you in your business?
So this is going to sound crazy, but I have always wanted to bring bungee into my studio, and have been saving it for it. And I was hoping to launch last fall, and then just things happened, so then it got moved back. And so I would love to, within the next year, to be able to actually bring that into the space. However, now thinking sanitary purposes. So everyone has their own rock climbing harness that they would use to put into their bungees. Just making sure that we could do that safely, but also in a sanitary way as well, because it's really hard to make sure that those things are clean. Anything that's fabric based, it's hard. So yeah. And I also just think being positive and staying in connection with my clients right now. I think I was talking to another studio owner, and so, they said, if somebody hasn't left you yet, they're probably not going to. And so just really showing the appreciation to the customers that we currently have, and figuring out, okay, what does that look like to show people that, we do truly care about them as human beings and not just as customers.
Right. It looks like we lost Chris. So Stephen, Taylor, what does the next 8 months or so look like for you guys?
I think we'll continue to focus on our work with the youth. We just received a little bit of grant money specifically for our youth programming
For the nonprofit.
for the nonprofit part of Muse. So we're looking at finding additional ways to provide studio time to youth, a way to kind of help them have an outlet during this time, whether it's regarding like violence or just needing an outlet because there's so much going on. We're seeing that we just really want to encourage our youth to take care of their mental health, and they're really isolated right now. So them being able to come into the music studio and record and be creative is really helpful. So we have some grant money that will be able to cover the cost of that studio time with an engineer, and also finding a way for them to create beats. And so since our space is being used less and less for events during this time, we're going to use some of that space to kind of create some socially distanced music booths, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that they can create.
Yeah. And outside of the nonprofit side, we wanted to dress up our space with a whole fresh new look. Like, but we reconsider it kind of. We was gonna turn Muse into like a big garden.
A big garden?
Yeah, because we know the color green is like really peaceful for people, and so
like yes.
so when everything feels chaotic, why not create a place where it feels like peaceful and people can even come to just have quiet time if they needed to.
Yeah. And you know, I started having new ideas with that, like, oh, they can have dinner at the garden. Or
oh God, here you go.
But once we just went into this new lockdown, it's like, you always got to pivot. So I think I would say our 8-month goal for Muse is just to make sure we have, like how we said we wanted to have the Airbnb platform to help us with booking, just to have a good way to book. And then from now, like 8 months, we probably have 2 shows, 2 nice little shows, socially distanced.
Or even try the Matterport again. That was really helpful. We did our Black Art Matters. We launched it online as a Matterport, and we were able to sell artwork digitally because people took a virtual tour of the art space or the whole exhibition.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Just out of curiosity, the Airbnb, when you book the space, are you doing that through like the experiences? Or do you actually, the spaces, I mean, you just book, it's obviously not a place, the studio space is not a place for people to come and sleep. It's a place for people to have events. So,
so we
that platform is,
obviously
I don't know that platform well enough.
Yep. So I've seen people doing it in Detroit. I've seen people doing it in Canada. So whenever you see people doing it, it's like before it becomes a rule that you can't do, you got to do it.
Jump on it. Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's really interesting. When you said that before, I wanted to ask you about that.
So
it's like you book it, like you put like almost like a disclaimer that this is not like an overnight stay. So like our upstairs is an overnight stay, but for downstairs, it wouldn't be overnight.
Right.
And so like even though they're like booking it as if it was overnight, you just let them know it's not really overnight.
Right.
And then that way they have the rate on there. It's like streamlined with them being able to see all the amenities. And then 2, they can see the calendar. It just like has it all in one place. And Airbnb does a really great job of creating like a user-friendly experience for us as the host. And I think that's what's been most appealing for us is that we've had such a good experience with using their platform for our upstairs space. So why not try to use it for our downstairs space?
That's great. Great idea.
Yeah, and the experiences, we've been trying to create a cool one. The one that's on my mind right now is like become a pop star for a day. Because we have a really good engineer in our studio, in our music studio, and it's like, I could see that as something that people want to do, and it's
totally,
one-on-one.
Yeah,
create a song, whether
Yeah.
you can sing or not, he can make you sound like you
Oh
can.
my God. Oh, I think that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that.
And they
Great.
incentivize you making the experiences.
Yeah.
So like you get to keep more of your service fee.
Yeah.
Like 10% of service fee goes to you, stuff like that.
That's
So,
cool. Very cool. Chris, you kind of faded in and out there for a minute. I don't know if you heard what I had asked everybody to kind of wrap up with is like, what does the next 8 months or so look like for you as we kind of hopefully morph out of COVID? You know, what are your thoughts on what that looks like for you?
Sure. Right now, I'm looking at adding about 15 new product lines. So we're expanding with things like wheatgrass, and there'll be other mixes like longevity mix, a cleanser mix, superfood mix, because the mixes seem to be things that people are more geared towards, and like a 7-day smoothie mix. So I have about 8 feet of shelving, say at like Bridge Street now, and we're going to be looking at more like 24 feet. So we'll be adding more product lines for people to get their hands on different varieties. And we'll be doing some herbs like lemon basil and cinnamon basil and some things like that. So adding to the product line is a big one. It's a process, especially with bigger stores like Meijer. It's quite a long process to get approved. There's like 9 departments that have to approve one variety before it can go in a store. So that's one of them, is expanding on that, and I actually get a much larger margin on those. My initial varieties were a bit smaller, but they were a good kind of like staple for me to get moving on. And then once we're in a position with seeds and we have everything where it's consistent, then I'm able to move into the Meijer Super Centers regionally, and that's really what I'm looking at. Probably we're hoping about 15 of them within the next few months, and then take a look at the Fresh Time and Spartan too. Yep. So really a lot of business with Meijer right now, so that'll be my first focus, is to make sure I can supply them with everything they need. So that'll be a big challenge alone. I mean, they're a big company.
Yeah. Well, I want to just thank all you guys for taking an hour this morning and talking and getting us up to speed on what you're doing. I mean, to me, it's just it's uplifting. I know that sounds corny, but it really is, to hear all of you guys doing such positive things. And I think it's encouraging for other entrepreneurs and for, just for other business owners to know that, at times like this, you can, hopefully find ways to keep going. It's not always easy, but in like all of your cases, you've found some ways to maybe pivot a little bit or do some things that you had wanted to do and hadn't tried before. And I think that's part of being an entrepreneur is being able to, kind of not just sustain yourself, but to grow in ways that that make sense and that fit your customers' needs and fits the needs of the times and everything else. So I applaud you guys for all your hard work, and happy to be a little bit of a part of your journey. So anyway, I just want to say thanks for being with us this morning, and all of you guys, I'd love if you would do like a 30-second video for us. So,
sure.
All right. And thank you, Aris, for running our technology. All right.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Laurie.
Guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.